Welcome to Wine Soundtrack USA. Listen to the passion with which producers narrate their winery and their world in 30 answers. Discover their stories, personalities, and passions.
Hello, friends and listeners of Wine Soundtrack. This is Allison Levine, and today I am in Lodi, California, with Susie Vasquez, the Director of Winemaking for LangeTwins Winery. Susie, welcome to Wine Soundtrack, and tell us a little bit about LangeTwins.
Hi, thank you. So yes, we are located in Lodi. We are sustainable farm, so we're part of Lodi rules. We farm close to 7,000 acres, wow. But we don't bring all the fruit to the winery. We ferment. We planted close to 38 different varietals, and around 16 to 18 come to the winery and we ferment it for our programs.
Great.
So we have a lot of different Italian varietals, so we're excited to bring here. So it's like a big kitchen and we have all these different seasonings to make the wines that we want to elevate. Right. With all these different varietals.
So what's the total case production of LangeTwins?
We are around 90,000 cases.
Okay.
And we have 4 different big SKUs. That will be Sandpoint, we have Caricature, Ivory, and Berg, and then we have also our reserve vineyard designated wines, LangeTwins wines.
Okay. Now you said 38 different grape varieties. I'm not going to make you list all 38, although you probably can, but can you give us an understanding? You said some Italian varieties. What are sort of some big picture varieties that you do here?
So we do the bigger varietals. So we do a lot of the Bordeaux, right? So we have Cabernets, we have Petit Verdot, we have some of the Burgundies, we have Chardonnays, we have all the ones that they drink the most. And we also have Aglianico, we have Nero de Avola, we have Montepulciano, we have, yes, so wow. It's very cool. So when I started working here and I realized all the different grapes varietals that you get to also experience fermenting, it's pretty amazing.
Wow. Yeah. And you're doing mostly single varietal wines with these, or you're blending them, or a combination?
So we ferment them separate. Mm-hmm. Yes. So as you know, every year is different, and Mother Nature gives us different year. So we ferment them all separate. Some years we have different winners. The quality of this year and these grapes were very different, and so that way we can, at the end of the fermentation, when we're ready to blend, we can start picking which wine's going to go into barrels and how we're going to start blending together for bottling in the future. Yes.
So you mentioned that you have 4 different labels, and then you're making under that 90,000 wines across that. It's a lot of different wines, and I'm wondering where your wines are available. What are they across the country in the U.S.? Are they in international markets, direct to consumer? Where can people find your wines?
So we are direct to consumer as well, but we are right now in 28 different states. We sell the most in Texas. We're also selling our wines overseas in 13 different countries. Wow. Where Canada will be our biggest export. Mm-hmm. So you can find us all in the north of California, yeah, that's it.
That's it. all over. It's not that complicated. So I'm curious. You're born in Bolivia.
Yes.
What is your first memory relevant to wine?
So it is interesting. So my parents are, they're retired now. So they were professors in agriculture. So agriculture was always in my family, since my grandparents actually. So I love agriculture. My whole life I live in the countryside. So when I went and I decided, hey, I want to be an agronomist. Mm-hmm. And then it was interesting to figure out, agronomist is so big, so it's so many different parts that you can work on, and I decided I didn't want to work with animals because they get sick. It's sad. I didn't want to be in dendrology, that is the trees, because it's the science where you cut them and it's sad. So I wanted to do something that it will be fun and I wouldn't feel, it will be no regret about that, and it was the grapes.
Were you familiar with wine? Had you had any wine prior to that?
Yes. So there is a region in Bolivia that is same altitude as Mendoza. It's called Tarija. And they grow a lot of grapes. At the beginning, it was Moscatel de Alexandria, that it was more for pisco, that we call Singani. Mm-hmm. And so I found it fascinating. So I was in the agriculture side, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be more outside. I love nature, sustainability, because in Bolivia, really, a lot of the farmers don't have the money to buy the pesticides or anything. So it is normal to use natural...
to be organic.
Natural pesticides, right? That they know by knowledge, that they're passed through, generations to the generations. So that was always my passion, to that style of agriculture. So I came here as an exchange student. And I was working in the same agriculture and working a little bit with the vines. And I got an internship in one of the small winery in Modesto. And they asked me to, after I was working there one season as an intern, and then they asked me, hey, we need a liaison between winemaking and the vineyard side. So to speak the same language, right? Imagine they asked me that I barely speak English. And I said, no.
But you spoke vineyard language.
That's right. I spoke vineyard language. And then so I said, you know what? It makes me a little bit nervous because I don't really know about fermentation science. And my boss said, you know what? We're going to send you to UC Davis. So you learn the fermentation science while you work there.
Wow.
What a great opportunity, right? I am a 23-year-old Bolivian that is here trying to learn as much as I can. And it was an opportunity that was incredible to me.
Wow, that's amazing. So to think back of all that time, was wine something that your parents drank? Was it something you even knew as a child?
So, to be honest with you, wine in Bolivia, it's very Christmas kind of night, right? So it's not something that we'll drink as much as we drink here now, or now how I consume wine right now. But it was more like, hey, we had this important dinner and wine was on the table. But we also have other beverage like Singani that is made out of. So we did drink it, but it was a glass of wine with my parents, and that was it, right?
So when you look back, is there a wine you had that was one of those aha moments where you said, oh my God, whether it was to how to make wine, a style of wine, or just wine in general?
So it was when I took this liaison job and I started making wine, I found it fascinating, the science of wine. And I remember to go and grab a bottle of wine. And you know which wine was that for me? It was Zinfandel. Huh. We grabbed a bottle of Zinfandel, and I was like, this is great. I get the jamminess on it. It was a dry scene, but it was so elegant and so easy to drink, right? So when you are starting drinking wine, to me, it was like, I really enjoy this. And then from there, fermenting, learning.
Are you willing to share which Zinfandel it was? I'm curious.
To be honest with you, I can't remember the exact label, but it was from Lodi. It was a Zinfandel made in Lodi. But if you want a great Zinfandel that is made from Asian vines, it's Zinfandel. Yeah. It's Lodi, right? It's Lodi. So I remember that because my husband brought that bottle. At that point, it was my boyfriend. And he shared that bottle. And I remember he said a long time ago, he said, you will love Lodi. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful region, and we end up living here. Yeah.
Wow. So you said you didn't grow up drinking wine. It was a Christmas thing, but now you consume a lot more wine. So I'm curious, if we were to come to your home, what would we find in your home? What kind of wines do you collect or save? Is it a lot of wines you've made? Is it wines specifically from this region, or any particular grapes that you buy, or regions?
Yes. So, me and my husband, we love wine. So we will start with a Chenin Blanc or a Sauvignon Blanc. I love Sauvignon Blancs. I love the acidity. I love the freshness, how easy it is, and how you can start with Sauvignon Blanc. So I always have Sauvignon Blanc in my house. I have Sauvignon Blancs from New Zealand, from California. So I do love the difference. You learn to love the different terroirs, right? They're completely different, but how they're grown in the region, right? Dry and with high acidity.
Okay, so we have diversity of Sauvignon Blanc, Chenin Blanc, mostly domestic wines that you have at home?
So I will have a lot of domestic wines, yes, primarily. And then I will...
That was our Sauvignon Blanc going down, but that's okay.
I will have some, also some New Zealand, because I was very lucky when I was working for a different company. I was very lucky to ferment wine in New Zealand.
Ooh.
So I was in drylands. So we did Nobolo and King Crawford.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was very interesting because you get to the winery and every morning you are tasting Sauvignon Blanc juices. And at the beginning, I'm like, this is awesome. But then you realize the acidity and then you pay for it.
Then you're like, oh, my teeth hurt and oh, my stomach hurts. And
yes.
What about red grapes? Do you have any red wines at home?
Absolutely. So I love Pinot Noir. To me, Pinot Noir is incredible. It's very versatile in all the delicate aromas for a red, you know, the velvetiness. I really love the Pinot Noir in California. There is all these different...
So many.
Yes, that they are wonderful. And there's also Oregon. There is just... how they can be so different and that can have these amazing personalities. I really love Pinot to start with reds. And from there, I will go to... I love a really good Cabernet Franc. I love the quality of the green notes on them can be fascinating.
Yeah.
And I love some of them in Napa. It's really good Cabernet Francs in Napa. And also the Cabernet Sauvignons, of course.
So you've got a nice selection of wines that you like to drink at home. Is there something you opened up recently, this week, last night, last month, that drank really well? One particular bottle?
You want to know the label?
I do. Why not?
There is this winery, and I really love the Cab Franc. It's called Amici.
Okay.
And the Cab Franc, I think, is delicious. So that's what we had last night.
So do you work with 38 different varieties?
Yes.
Do you think there's a such thing as a perfect variety?
Wow. I think there is, depending on the vintage. You see what I mean? It's like 1 year you can be... you can love this vineyard and this varietal, but the next year might be wonderful and you just love it. You're like, oh my God, this wine was fantastic this year. So it will depend on the vintage. Yeah.
And, you're saying that vintage declares what's perfect. Obviously, there are wine critics and scores out there who like to give their opinion on what they think is perfect. Yes. I'm curious what your opinion is on wine critics and scores.
I participate on judging wines too in the Orange County. So there is a lot of knowledge on that. So for us to have a perspective of people that drinks wine, enjoys and knows the different terroirs and is given this element of also knowledge to it is important. And I think I have a lot of respect to it, but I also understand as a winemaker that sometimes when you are fermenting and you go to the vineyards, you taste the grapes, you taste the acidities, you bring it to the winery and you ferment it and you have a vision of that passionates you, that is also important. Even though it doesn't score like the 100 points that you're looking for, I think it's still being true to yourself as a winemaker and as a winemakers, we like to believe that we're artists, right? So as that the passion and that art that you have, and then that's also valid.
So as a wine drinker, red, white, or rosé?
To me, red.
Still or sparkling?
Ooh. If I'm drinking a wine, sparkling. Because I'll tell you what, I mean, I love still wines too because but it is such a, when you learn about champagne or sparkling wines, is also the time, the patient, it's all the process that they go through, and it's just an art.
It's all the hard work that you get to enjoy.
All the time that you spend first projecting the end, them doing all the riddling method and tasting, and the last point, at the last part, deciding, hey, you wanna use a dosage, you're gonna let it, all that part. So that's incredible, right?
Do you make any sparkling wine?
I did sparkling wine. Yeah, right now I'm not making a LangeTwins. This might be our year because we have a Chardonnay Rosa that we are very interested to make it in a sparkling. So this might be our year, and but I did make it in my previous job, and we make it Champenois method, and
so the work that goes into it.
Yes, it's lovely.
So for the amount of work that goes into wine, there's a lot of thought that goes into how we drink it, pairing it with food, and I'm wondering, are there rules that you follow? Are there rules that you typical rules, traditional, like white wine and fish and red wine and meat and don't cross? Or do you have a little more relaxed approach to food and wine pairing?
Yeah, I think wine is the complement of food, right? To me, there is certain rules. So there is certain wines that they will pair better. It's all about texture, and it's all about, like heavy meat or a little bit more fat in the meat goes much better with reds because of the coating, and whites are much easier to drink, and if you put it with a heavy meat, you're kind of losing a little bit of the. So the idea is to have a great balance between the food and the wine. Of course, the wine is the complement for the food, but you also want to enjoy it, right? It's also it's also wonderful to see it like that. So to me, I will keep those rules as well, for the acidity, for the fattiness of the protein. Yeah.
But then have a little fun.
Yes, always.
So for somebody who hasn't had the pleasure to taste a wine you've made, a LangeTwins wine, what do you think they're missing out on?
I think there is a lot that we're making here as a team. We're a very happy team that we all know where we're going, and for us, sustainability is very important. And we are, and right now in our vineyards, we're incorporating the yes, what is it called in that farming? Regenerative. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
We are incorporating the regenerative farming in all our vineyards, right? So we're bringing sheep so they trim all our.
And how many acres again do you have?
So we're farming 7,000.
7,000.
Yes.
Those are going to be some full sheep.
That's right. So we're slowly incorporating, because we see ourselves, in a future that will be our vision, to be regenerative. So that's the vision of the family, and that's what I love working here, is also, the sustainability, the part that they will plant vineyards, but they will leave sections where they will leave it for the natural fauna and the habitat for the animals that they are from this area. So, is that, to me, that is the future, right? We make a profit of some business, but we also give back.
Right.
And that should be how we see, how we're going to keep growing as humans, right?
Yeah. Well, and we have to protect the land, so.
Yes, natural resources are so important. So I think that is something that we want to offer. That's something that and also how dedicated we are as a team on winemakers and in the vineyard side, and everybody that this little sun, of help that so we can make all this project together to try to offer the best quality of wine that we can provide with all these different wines that we can make. This wonderful. So it's great, right? Because we can come and say, hey, this grape was wonderful, and we will get together and see if we can make a label for that, and that will be, this is just great, right? Because it's so transparent that we want to show our consumer that we're just trying to put in the bottle what we think is the best that we can put out there.
So if space aliens were to land at your property right now and come on, knock on the door, which of your 38 different grape varieties, and I'm sure you make many more SKUs, but which of your wines would you want to welcome them with and say, welcome to LangeTwins?
Ooh. Probably our Cabernet Sauvignon LT38. Yes. We're very proud of that. I think it's one of the Cabernets that we will like everybody to enjoy. Mm-hmm. It's made in Lodi, so you have to consider our terroir, all our culture, and it has a lot of history as well, the vineyard. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you have a lot of acres. Your background is with agronomy. You like to be in the vineyard. Do you spend a lot of time in the vineyard these days?
So we will start visiting vineyards. So we already went like a month ago so we can help to understand the viticulture team, right? So what they're working on and their vision, and we can collaborate together. And these last 2 weeks I didn't, it's too hot. But pretty soon we're gonna be out there, and then we started tasting the fruit, because you have to have the knowledge to what are you bringing before the fruit arrives to the winery, for the acidity and flavors, and then we start doing some analysis. So we will start spending all the early mornings in the vineyards now. What is wonderful. Wow. Yeah, that's the fun part. Barrels and vineyard, that's a lot of fun.
When you're walking through the vineyard, do you ever talk to the vines?
Do I talk to the vine? I sing a little bit, maybe. Yes.
What about to the barrels of wine?
To the barrels, I do. So it's so funny, actually, because you're like there by yourself, of course, because we all kind of split the different jobs, and then you're tasting the barrels, and then you're like, oh my God, this is so good, and you're like, oh yes, pretty soon.
You pet the barrel.
Yeah, that is so funny. Yes.
So you're spending time in the vineyards, and you've been here at LangeTwins for how many years?
So this year is going to be my third harvest.
Third harvest.
Yes. So.
And how long have you been in Lodi?
I've been here since 2011.
2011. So you've got a good, 10 plus years in one region. And I'm curious, do you see, we know every vintage tells a different story. And as you said earlier, with all the different grapes you have, perfection is determined by vintage. And also what you make each year is dependent on the vintage. So I'm curious, do you see more similarity year to year or more difference? Consistency or no consistency?
I see a little bit of consistency. Yes. I do. So right now too, in this area, we are probably, you notice driving through this area, you probably notice a lot of new vineyards too. So there is being a lot of replacement of vineyards that have been here for 30 years. Mm-hmm. So what it will be very interesting for us. Right now we are doing a trial where we're going to see, and we have a vineyard, a Cabernet vineyard that we're going to cut in half, and we're going to replant the other half and leave the other half just to see, to compare later. It's just a knowledge, what is great. We're doing, the viticulture group does a lot of research. So we want to see that part. And most in general, to answer your question, I'm going all over the place.
That's okay.
I think there is consistency on the aromatics and the flavors, color. Here and there it will be a little bit different based on the rain and heat. Mm-hmm. But I think the fruit in Lodi is very consistent. Yeah.
And are there any signs or omens that you look for that are going to help you predict what a vintage will be?
I don't know if I ever done that. I don't know if I ever, I hear people saying those things about coyotes and no, never. No, the only thing that I do is like, this is funny. Should I share it?
You should share it.
I have this pair of socks.
Oh, that's my other question. That's my next question. No, my first is more like, are there any signs that you look for, like, like if, I don't know, certain flowerings or when veraison is, that's going to tell you, like, this is going to be a good year. Like, you can tell by looking at, I don't know, maybe not. I don't know if Mother Nature is so consistent that you can look at signs.
Lately, I don't know. In the last 3 years, I am so lost with what is going on with the weather. Before, it used to be that by, right after the 4th of July, you will start seeing varieties in different grapes, and it will be like, okay, it's gonna be just a normal harvest. The pace is just gonna be normal.
But not
and
anymore.
then no, now you don't know anymore. I'm telling you, the last 3 years has just been very. 2022 for us was a harvest that it got so warm during the ripening time that it was not really a winemaking year, because we were trying to receive as much fruit as we can, keep quality, and it was like work, let's bring fruit, because the sugar was just, the bricks were just climbing up.
Yeah.
So last year it was so slow. It was a winemaking harvest, because you had enough time to sit down, do all the trials that you don't even needed to do, but you wanted to do because you had the time to think and make the best wine. So I don't know.
So you're kind of fly by the seat of your pants each year, it sounds like. But let's go back to this, your good luck rituals. So I will ask if you, as the head of winemaking, have any rituals for your team, but it sounds like the socks are your personal ritual.
The socks are my personal ritual. So it started a long time ago with one of my friends that gave me these socks, and it said, these are the good luck socks, and I was like, what? And so it's like, if you don't wear it in the first day of harvest, you're gonna have a terrible harvest. And
jinxed you.
Yes. And you think about it, and you're like, I don't want to have a terrible harvest. What does it even mean? And then every year,
You don't want to risk it, do you?
No, I don't want to know. So every year when I start harvest, so you can imagine how old these socks are. And I wear them the first day of harvest. I'm wearing those, and it's some socks that they have different varietals with grapes. So you have this Cab, Merlot. They're super funny, but I do wear it every year. Yes.
So, moving on to other subjects about you, that we're going to move past the socks now. So, I know you said that you grew up in a family of agronomists, but when you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh my goodness, I wanted to be a singer, of course. My family, I have a lot of, like, my uncles, they play music. They play music professionally. So we grew up with music all around us, right? So everybody liked to sing, and everybody plays some sort of instrument. And so it was always fun for our family reunions to have guitars or a piano, and somebody would be singing, and it was awesome. So when I was a kid and I would see, my uncles on the stage, I was like, I want to be a singer.
Do you have a favorite singer or band?
Ooh, I do have a lot of them. So there is one Uruguayan group that I really love, and it's called No Te Va Gustar. That means you won't like it. I don't know what is their name, but that's their name. And I really do like them. They're fun, and they put, good lyrics to their song.
So their name may not sound like you're going to like the taste, but if you were able to meet them and could give them a bottle of your wine to taste, what would they like?
Ooh, they eat a lot of meat, so a red wine for sure. So I'll give him a Zinfandel. They will love that. And Uruguayans grow a lot of Tanat, so they like a lot of tannicky wine. So a good bottle of Toraldago. Yeah.
And so when you're not working, how do you spend your free time? What do you like to do? Do you have free time?
I do, yes. So I have 2 kids, and Lucas and Fabiola, and we spend a lot of times together. We love camping. Then I do love gardening. It's funny because me and Laura, we're just sharing pictures this morning of our harvesting tomatoes. It's very exciting for me.
Get your hands in the dirt.
Yeah, because it is so nice to just go to your garden, start pulling weeds, and it's quiet, and it seems like everything is just going to be just fine. You have those days that they're like challenging, and you go home and you just want to take out of your back a little bit, so you go there in the garden, and it's wonderful. I do it out of for mental peace too.
I like that.
And I also love running, and also mental peace.
So when you're planning a romantic evening for you and your husband, the kids are away and you're planning a romantic evening, what sort of wines do you open to set the mood so that it's different from just a Tuesday night?
Ooh, what wines, right? Because there's different. So I'll start with a Pinot Noir for sure.
You start with the Pinot. I get it.
We'll start with the Pinot, and then probably I'll move into... I love some Barolos too.
Well, there you go.
Yes, I'll go into
For those special
Barolo.
nights.
Yeah.
So, when you look back at your career, or even in life, I mean, we meet so many people along the way that give us words of wisdom and pieces of advice and teach us. Is there a piece of advice that somebody, a family, teacher, mentor that gave you that you try to live or work by?
Yes, and it was to never be afraid to voice your opinion, even if it's a lot of people in that room and they're very knowledgeable. To never be afraid to have your own thoughts and be part of the conversation. And I think that was very important. For me, it was because I'm a foreign, and sometimes you're worried that you're going to say something that is not pronounced correct, or maybe it's not in the right time, So I think he said it because of that, because I was always kind of shy. And he's like, we understand what you're trying to say, so you just say it out loud. And it was great. Yeah.
So when you look back at your career,
Yeah.
not your personal life because you can't say your kids, what would you say is one of your proudest achievements to date?
I think it was the resilience to when I started loving winemaking, right? They asked me to go back to the vineyard side, and I was like, you know what? I fell in love with this fermentation science. I think it's incredible. You can do all this. So I applied for being a winemaker, right? Or an assistant winemaker first. And I got a no, right? I still have that letter. And I was like, I love it. So I really want to be a winemaker.
And now here you are.
Yeah.
That is quite an achievement.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you kept that no letter. I hope that you wrote to them one day and said, hi, I'm the director of winemaking.
You made a mistake.
A big mistake.
Yes.
Well, complete this sentence for me. A table without wine is like...
Ooh, a life without music.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's poetry.
Yes. It will be like a life without music. Wine is beautiful. I mean, you share it with friends. You drink it by yourself. Mm-hmm. When you're like thinking about doing something fun, it's always you're like, I'll take some wine. And I love it because all the time people's like, we'll do a potluck. We'll all get together. Susie, you bring the wine. I'm like, perfect.
Well, speaking of sharing wine, we're sitting at a big table. There's an empty chair next to you, a bottle of your wine on the table. Who from any walk of life, living or deceased, do you wish you could share a bottle of wine with? A bottle of your wine with? Aside from the person who turned you down and said no.
Wow. So anybody in the universe.
Living or deceased.
Oh my God, I admire so many people.
You have a few chairs at the table. I guess, you could fill a few.
So it will be like people that transition with art too, right? Like Frida Kahlo, or people that they make these things out of passion and they created this history for them. Like somebody like that.
Frida Kahlo. I think that's
I admire a lot of wonderful women in their careers. Yes, I think there is so much passion. And when you were asking about music, for example, and I was looking at who I really follow in music, and they're all women. It's crazy. It's funny. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to revisit that in just a moment. But I do have a couple small questions. Actually, really only one more question before we play our little wine and music game. And that is, you said we drink wines with friends and we share wines, but we also drink wines by ourselves. And if I was going to send you off to a deserted island to drink 3 wines by yourself, what 3 wines would you want to take with you? Any 3 wines from anywhere in the world. And you can go specific brands too.
With a specific...
This is you don't have to, but this is aspirational. Wow. This is the dream list.
There is this wine from Spain, and it's called Único. That will be one. I'll drink it all. I will take most definitely a champagne, and probably will be... there's so many of them. Oh my gosh.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one. I'll take one of them. One of those.
Too many champagne houses to choose from.
Yes, but I'll take a champagne for sure. Then I will take... What's the other wine that I'll take one from California too. I'll take a good cab. I'll take I'll take a Screaming Eagle or a Opus One for sure.
No Pinot Noir in there. Oh my God.
Oh, I know. But it was like, if I am gonna die, because I'm in a desert island.
Well, I didn't say you were gonna die. I was just gonna say you were gonna enjoy 3 wines alone.
Yes. That's right. I forgot my Pinots. I guess I love them, but if I would pick 3 and that's it, that would be.
Those are the 3.
Those are the 3.
I love it. Okay, now we're going to play a little game. We talked about this, wine and music. Obviously, music is something that you enjoy. You were going to once be a singer. I'm not going to make you sing for us, although you're welcome to. But I'm curious if you can tell me, sort of as a description of the wine, what the wine makes you think of music-wise. So we've been sipping, well, you kind of spilled it a little bit, but it's a very delicious Chenin Blanc.
Chenin with music. This wine is fun. This wine is happy and it's refreshing, full of like citrus flavor. This is a salsa. Salsa.
Okay. I can taste that. I can feel that. What about Sauvignon Blanc that you make? Your Sauvignon Blanc.
Oof. Sauv Blanc, what music? I will put it with the Uruguayan group, Not Te Va Gustar, because I love it. Yes, I love it.
Okay. What about Cabernet Sauvignon, the one that you would welcome the space aliens with?
With Tango.
Tango. Why is that?
Because, when I think about cab and a really good cab, I drink it with this friend that I love. We went to college together, and we will hear this tango from Piazzolla, and it just reminds me. All the time I drink cab, I think about it at the great time, and that's what I will pair it with.
Love it. Zinfandel.
Zinfandel, jamminess. Zinfandel. What music can that be? Jazz. Yeah. Okay. Relax. Awesome. Yeah, good.
And then I know you do some Italian varieties, and you had mentioned Toraldigo. So,
Toraldigo. The Toraldigo, a lot of color, strong tannins. It's a little bit more of like a kind of like 90s rock, like light rock and roll. Yes, that would be perfect.
I mean, we could go on and on. You have 38 different grape varieties. No, I won't do that to you. How many different wines do you make?
Right now, we're making close to 18 different varietals.
Wow. So that's a lot of different wines. I won't make you do that, but I will ask a question, which is, if people want to visit you or taste your wines, how can they find you? Where can they find you?
How can they find it? You can visit us online. So we're on LangeTwins. We have an online page with, it will have all our information from our website and the location.
Do you have a tasting room?
We do have a tasting room that is open Thursday to Sunday from 11 to 5 to 4.
11 to 4. Okay. And of course, you can find the wines across the United States in
20 different states. And yes, you can find us in different stores.
Okay. So, last question is, what for you, if you're going to go traveling, what wine region is the top of your bucket list to go explore?
I did do a lot of visiting in Italy. Well, my sister lives in Spain, so I've done it plenty in there. But I think I could visit more regions in Italy because
Any particular regions?
Piedmont. I didn't think that I visited enough. I didn't taste and visit enough. And also, I never been in Champagne, and I would love to go there. Those two will be, yeah.
So,
whole world.
You plan a trip to Champagne, and people should plan a trip out to Lodi.
Yes.
It is definitely a special place. Large production, but some, a cool place. I can't say cool. It's 108 degrees outside right now, but it's not a cool place. But there are winds blowing.
Yes.
And it has a traditional small little town, and there's an interesting charm to this place. So,
So one of the things that is very important for us in Lodi is because of the weather, and we get, we're close to the Delta. So during the day you are in 108 right now, but at night we get to 60s, right? You will feel that breeze at night. We also. There is a vision of Lodi producing like high tons per acre, yes, but it's actually, that was a long time ago. Now the vision is like we're looking for a balance in the vines. So we're not looking to drop crop to stress the vine. We're looking for a balance. Like we're still on the sustainability part. So we will grow our vines with a balanced amount of crop that it will be. In this area is between 4 to 8 to make sure that we're getting the right acidity, the plant is not stressing, and then we'll make wines out of it. So that is what we are now making in this area.
Yeah. And with diversity of varieties, it's a region to discover 38 different varieties. Come to LangeTwins.
That's right. Please come and visit us. And you have to know that Lodi it has over 110 different varietals because they were using this region as a pilot area for these other, Vitis vinifera. They were coming from all over. And so you can find wines from different varietals from all over the world that are making Lodi.
And specifically at LangeTwins.
That's right. That's right. Please.
Well, Susie, thank you for joining us on Wine Soundtrack. I will give you a cheers with the Chenin Blanc since it's delicious, and I look forward to tasting more wines.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. This was great.
Thanks for listening to a new episode of Wine Soundtrack USA. For details and updates, visit our website, winesoundtrack.com.